time we made our way to the next locale. We're on the clock, after all. Let's get to it. Are you really on the clock? We can go places. We can move. I'm moving. Oh, not many places. Well, it would seem that we've arrived, and where are we now, Cersei? This is an area in Ano Town known as Kusawa. Kusawa is quite famous because of the Yao Bakuni legend. I'd be surprised if there was anyone who hasn't heard of it. I'm sorry to say I've never heard of it. Wait, really? Come now, don't act so shocked. You can't expect me to know every little thing, and besides, I'm not even from this country. The very reason I requested you to be my guide was so you could teach me about things like this. I guess that's true. Okay, I understand. I'll be counting on your explanations. Ano Town is located in the Ise district, so named during the events of the story. It has since been merged with Sioux City of Mie Prefecture, located at the foot of Kyogamane mountain with a single 819-meter peak. The land surrounding it is rich in natural splendor, with multiple hot springs welling forth from the earth around it. From the Edo period until the Meiji period, it was known for being the primary place of production of sumoji, a delicate fabric woven in such a way as to be semi-transparent. How is our, I mean, obviously we still have a decent chunk of things to still see here. Anyone put a sticker on the shrine? Definitely a sticker up there. Yo, look at you. I'm getting there. I'm not seeing any extra hints, at least. Little Blue! I was kind of hoping that Avi would say something about the sticker. The fabled beauty of the... the fabled beauty of the serene Japanese countryside. It really is charming. Oh yes, the insistent chirping of locusts combined with unrelenting heat. This is Japanese summer, all right. It's fascinating to think that such a peaceful place could be home to such profound historical events. I'm practically jittering with excitement. I can see that. Let's try to keep a cool head, shall we? I kind of almost wish they would have made her, like, model shake. Jitter to the extreme. Tell me about shrine. What's down there? Some sort of shrine? This shrine is apparently dedicated to Sugawara no Michizani. We should go pay our respects before we leave. No, notes on that one? If Yao Bikuni really did exist, I wonder what sort of life she led. I can't begin to imagine what it would be like to live for hundreds of years. Dog, I don't, like, you didn't even learn about it yet. As far as this girl is concerned, Guardian of Swords, it was the same thing. There was a check mark there. Tell me about this Yao Bikuni. The legend of Yao Bikuni originated here in Kusawa, Ano, Japan, Ano, Japan. I don't know why I said that. Long, long ago, a 17-year-old girl named Asoto lived in this village. She unknowingly ingested the meat of a mermaid that was served during a village gathering and became immortal. How does that accidentally happen? After subsequently being persecuted by the other villagers, she became a nun and made a pilgrimage around the entire country. At the end of the story, she eventually returned to this village and lived out the rest of her very long life. The rest of it? How can you do that if you're immortal? Tales told in other parts of the country play out in almost exactly the same fashion. Yeah, I guess that's true. Tale of Yao Bikuni, a bhikkhuni, fully ordained Buddhist nun, who acquired preternatural longevity after eating the flesh of a mermaid. Preternatural? Can be found in almost every region of Japan, although the exact details vary greatly between regions. They all share the same fundamental element. A girl who ate mermaid flesh lived for 800 years. The Yao Bikuni legend passed down in Mie Prefecture is as follows. Once upon a time, a beautiful girl by the name of Asoto lived in Kusawa village. One day, when Asoto was 17, the flesh of a mermaid was served at a village gathering. The other villagers, disturbed at the thought of eating such a strange creature, refused to eat it, but Asoto unknowingly ate the mermaid's flesh. From that moment on, Asoto didn't age a day. Shunned by the other villagers and treated as a monster, she was eventually forced to leave the village, becoming a nun. Asato traveled the length and breadth of Japan for hundreds of years, before eventually returning to Kusawa village, where her long life at last came to an end. So they say. How would a mortal being's long life come to an end? I would like to know that part. I believe, Sato is also 17 years old. Isn't that something? Tell me more. The legend of Yao Bikuni, the girl who ate the flesh of a mermaid and lived for 800 years, has been passed down all over Japan. Not only here in Mie Prefecture's Ano town, but in Fuku, Aichi, and Gifu prefectures as well. In total, the story has been found in 121 locations in 28 prefectures throughout the country. Or at least that is what certain research has indicated. Doesn't that seem like a lot? Were there really that many different Yao Bikunis out there? Well, I mean, 800 years is a long time. She probably got around. Obviously, not all the legends can be true. But I actually have a theory on the subject. Would you like to hear it? By all means. Most of the legends, whenever the main theme of Paranormasight starts playing, you sit down and listen. Most of the legends refer to a woman who stopped aging and lived for 800 years after consuming the meat of a mermaid. At that point, because others would find it strange that she wasn't getting any older, she wasn't able to live in normal society anymore. I suppose that would be natural. It would explain why she withdrew from the world and became a nun. Exactly, and that's how she got the name Yao Bikuni, the 800-year-old Bikuni nun. With 800 years on her hands, she could have easily made a pilgrimage around the entire country. How interesting. Buddhist priests are known for trekking throughout the land as a form of ascetic training. And if we consider the 121 locations where the legend was found, with 800 years to spare, she could have spent 6 years in each location. 6 years would certainly be enough time for her to make a name for herself in each and every location, right? Ho ho! Oh my dear, I believe I see what you're getting at. Your theory posits that the stories of Yao Bikuni that have been passed down in every corner of the country all refer to the exact same individual. Well, it might be a bit much to say that all of them are the same. There may have been a few different people. But it's more convincing than the theory that there were 121 people. I also think the Yao Bikuni of Wakasa province is the most likely origin of the legend. I wonder. Don't all of the different instances of the story throughout Japan also claim that particular location as her place of final rest? That may be true, but I assume that each of those different places wanted to have a grave or some other tangible marker to base the legend on. Would so many people that are purported to have lived for 800 years all die at around the same time? Seems pretty unlikely. Then you believe some of the tales were embellished somewhat. That sort of thing happens all the time. Legends are always mixtures of truth and fantasy. Moreover, it doesn't make sense that every single immortal would decide to become a nun. There were likely some places that simply believed Yao Bikuni was the term for an immortal. Rather than a nun, for all we know, she said, "I'ma be none of that," and became an Amma diver. I love you, Avi. But that's actually pretty insightful. Many legends are based on simple semantic misunderstandings. I want to like kind of take it all in. I'ma be none of that. Double puns on that. I love just how angry his Badumtus looked. Now wait just a minute. I won't stand here and let my dumb joke actually become a salient point of discussion. Let's drop it then. But still, if one were to somehow live for 800 years, a person that becomes immortal after the Kumakura period could still be alive today. True, and if so, I'd love to sit them down for a long chat. The question still kind of comes about, I think it was brought up earlier, that if mermaid flesh was so, like, casually came by and someone could just kind of eat it and be like, oops, now I live for 800 years, there has to be, like, multiple people that are alive for 800 years. What sort of life she led? I can begin to imagine what it would be like to live for hundreds of years. At the very least, I hope she enjoys television. Can Kusawa's legend of Yaobikuni really be true? There must be falsehoods and fictions mixed into the tale, surely. Who knows? Ise province isn't that far from Wakasa province after all. She may have simply walked here from there. The fact that the stories from each different area are so similar does make me wonder if they didn't get mixed together somehow. Ah, you think the legend may be an amalgamation of stories from various locations? Exactly, but then again... the immortal in the story from this location has her own name, which gives the legend a certain verisimilitude. Indeed it does. I guess we can assume that a girl with that name really did live here long ago. I guess the other stories didn't have the name Osada. Then something must have happened to make people believe she had become immortal. It's reasonable to assume her story then got mixed up with various legends of Yaobikuni from around the country before being passed down. Of course, the exact timing of these events is still unclear, but that does present an interesting possibility. She could very well still be living in this village. Wouldn't that be a compelling development? Leave it to an occult writer to think up something like that. That's right! You're seeing the prodigious imaginative power of a fantasy author in action! Yes, it's really something. More? I want to try another topic. But the fact of the matter is that almost no traces of Yaobikuni remain in this village. Even her grave, which referred to as Lady Yao's tomb, has never been located, is referred to as. But then, did we come all this way for nothing? Another topic. Well, it might not have a direct connection, but there is something one should always consider when discussing Ise. The Tales of Ise, have you heard of it? It's the oldest extant collection of Japanese verse, compiled sometime during the Heian period. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with it. But I have heard of the Tale of Genji and the Tale of Hike. Is it anything like those? Well, those were also stories written during the Heian period, but that's where its similarities end. Nice try, though. Harumph. Well, they sound similar enough anyway. Don't worry, I'm not an expert on the subject either. Basically, this collection of verse elaborates on a number of waka poems by giving accounts of the events surrounding each one. The entire collection of 125 passages is referred to as the Tales of Ise. That's easy enough to remember, no? I'm bad with history and numbers. The Tale of Ise is a collection of short stories. Check, that part I guess I can remember. 125 though, I ain't remembering that. Oh, one more thing. The title might be the Tales of Ise, but the content isn't all that focused on the actual area. What's this now? Are they intentionally attempting to confuse and bewilder us? Some believe the title comes from the fact that Passage 69 is set in Ise province. At any rate, I just thought I should bring it up because it does have at least a slight bearing on the topic at hand. If you're keen to learn more, I'll add more detailed information into the files. Why, thank you. I'll be sure to read through them later. And by later, I mean right freaking now. Collection of verse, or Uta Monogatari, thought to be the oldest surviving work in Japan. It is particularly well known for the opening sentence of many of its prose passages. Long ago, there was a man. Believed to have been compiled in the Heian period, it greatly influences the literature of the era, not area. including famous works such as The Tale of Genji. The central figure of the narrative is speculated to be a fictionalized version of Arawara no Nirahara. It greatly influences the literature of the era. Oh, I guess that's saying that this and The Tale of Genji influenced the era. I thought it was saying that, like, The Tale of Genji was part of this, so I'm like, man, why was Cersei being such a freak about this? The central figure of the narrative is speculated to be the fictionalized version of Arawara no Narahara, a poet of the Heian period, with the prose passages serving as a biography for the character. Both the author and its exact date of publication are unknown. The narrative spans 125 episodes, which vary in length from a few lines to several pages, covers the life of a man, from his coming of age to his death, and focuses primarily on the protagonist and the people around him, particularly his romantic dalliances with women. Some of its most famous episodes are summarized below. Episode 1. Yuko Buri. Having come of age, a man sets out on a ceremonial falconry excursion where he catches sight of two beautiful sisters. Infatuated, he cuts off the sleeve of his robe, inscribes a waka poem on it, and sends it to them. I don't know what a waka poem is. All I think about is Final Fantasy X. And I don't think that's how you spell his name. Doesn't he have... I think he had like 2 Ks in his name. I don't remember. Akutagawa. A man having finally succeeded in sealing away a beautiful noble woman, flees with her to a warehouse, where they take shelter from the rain. However, the man discovers in the morning that she has disappeared, devoured by a demon that inhabited the warehouse. Sucks to be her. Azuma Kudari. Feeling despondent about his future, a man embarks on a journey to the east with a group of friends. In Mikawa province, he catches sight of some beautiful flowers and reflects on how far his journey has brought him, and recites a poem. In Suruga province, he sees snow on the peak of Mount Fuji, contemplates the passage of time, and recites a poem. In Musashi province, he spots an unfamiliar bird on the shores of the Sumida... Was it a mockingbird? On the Sumida River, recalls his wife and hometown, and recites a poem. His friends all weep upon hearing the latter, moved by his feelings for his faraway home. It's like, in the poem, in this story, he just finds, like, Punk Duck. Which would be kind of funny if you, like, read one of these and you just somehow get a mockingbird sticker. Sutsuizutsu. Close friends from childhood, a man and a woman exchange poems and are wed. But is it the a man or is it a different a man? But when the man prepares to travel to faraway Kawachi province to visit his other lover, the woman displays no hint of displeasure as she sees him off on his journey. Suspicious of her actions, the man hides in their garden and watches as his wife makes herself up as beautifully as she can. But when she then sits and recites poems out of concern for her traveling husband, he feels a profound shame and decides not to go to Kawachi. He decides he's gonna go to hang out with his other lover. The woman's upset, and he's like, wait a minute, maybe she's cheating on me. At least that's what it sounds like. 69, nice, is supposed to be, like, the important one, right? Kari no Tsukai. Having been sent to Ise province to hunt game, a man is received with great hospitality by the imperial princess serving as priestess of Ise at Ise Shrine. Attracted to each other, the two attempt to meet in secret, but can find no opportunity to speak intimately. Although they promise one another to meet the following day, it is not meant to be. The two exchange poems of farewell before the man sets out to continue his journey. That one doesn't sound very important, but I mean, it's important because it's the one that brought up Ise, and I was going to say, obviously, the priestess of Ise Shrine, that was kind of brought up a couple times before. Hikoboshi, having fallen in love with a woman who serves in the imperial court, a man finally manages to meet her after patiently waiting for the right moment. However, the two are still separated by a screen. The man recites a poem to her, proclaiming that his love for her is greater than Hikoboshi's love for Urahime. He compares the separating them to the Milky Way that separates the two legendary lovers. Moved by his words, the woman removes the screen, allowing them to finally meet face to face. But then what happens? I almost wish that we would have at least gotten the last story in all of this. Like a rundown of that. His death or whatever. I love, like, I don't know if it's just because Cersei is small. But it's like, she's just standing like in the middle of the streets. It's an interesting visual. The Tales of Ise. There's one other thing we can learn from the Tale of Ise. Whoa. Adding the Tale of to a book title really classes things up. You should keep it in mind. She's so right. It was apparently all the rage during the Heian period. Oh, I couldn't agree more. My next work is certainly going to be a Tale of. Well then, I suppose that brings this particular tale to a close. Subject to a close. On to the next. No rest for the wicked, I say. Time to tackle the next mermaid myth. Sure. I think there's really any reason for me to hang out still. Okay, same thing. Move out! Futa Megara. And here we find our next subject of inquiry. What place might this be, my dear? This is Futamegara, the coastline that lies beside Futami town. It's just over from Ise City. Ah, then we finally penetrated the outskirts of Ise City proper. Things are certainly beginning to heat up. I inferred that Ise City was the prefectural capital from the fact that Mie Prefecture was once known as Ise Province. Not bad, eh? Well, I can understand how you would arrive at that conclusion. But the truth is, Mie Prefecture is composed of 4 separate provinces. Ise-Shima, Iga, and Kai. Ah, is that so? That doesn't change the fact that Ise City is regarded as the spiritual capital of Japan, making it a very important location. Very interesting, but the sun has already begun its steady descent, so perhaps we should pick up the pace a bit. Oh, I'm looking around. This looks like a spot where some shit might have happened. Futamegara's sea is famously said to purify the body, so many visitors to Ise Shrine come here as well. The scenic beauty of the location has even been featured in poems from antiquity. It certainly is easy on the eyes. The strands of pine trees along the shore make for quite the striking image. Yo, I don't like the way this is spinning. To make it even better, the embankment we're standing on offers a 360-degree view of Ise Bay. I guess that's why it's spinning. It makes you want to get out on the very edge to take it all in. It really does. Being surrounded by the bay like this is such an enchanting feeling. What a breathtaking view. I mean, I already got a sticker from this location before. Okay, all of it's the same surrounding. I can look at Cersei in a different light this time. Of course, I have my own reasons for trying to locate the creature. Tend to scour the land in order to learn as much as I can. Same thing, alright. As far as the girl is concerned, I suppose I could be... Oh, it's the same thing. Anyone should be shaking things, it's me. Just wondering why it's not, checked. Alright, girl, let's talk. Mermaids. So, does this place have any legends featuring mermaids? It does. A record called the Kaginki was written by people at Horyuji Temple after the Kamakura period. In that record, there was a total of 6 instances of information concerning mermaids. 6, eh? That's certainly promising. One of those entries describes a sighting here in Futami, Ise province on April 3rd during the 2nd year of the Inbun era, which would be 1357. So they even noted the exact date. How fortuitous. The passage is as follows. From the Sea of Futami in Ise province came in Miuji, delivering perpetuity. Futami, perpetuity. So what exactly does that mean? My guess is that a mermaid was spotted in the sea by Futami and it was named in Miyuji, meaning health and long life because it granted longevity. Aha! It granted longevity, did it? Finally, we're getting to the good stuff. Yes, it's another account relating mermaids to Yao Bikuni. It seems the idea of mermaids granting immortality had already been established at that time. Indeed, and now we even have a name. More. Tell me more. So what sort of mermaid was this, and what became of it? No clue. Again with the vague records. These people write down the appearance of some fantastical creature, and then just let it wander off? I haven't personally gone over every bit of research on the matter, but I can speculate on an answer. Records of mermaids in other places also often refer to them by name. In fact, it may not have been all that uncommon for the people in the area to encounter them when these records were written. Oh, let me see if I follow your meaning. The same mermaid would appear repeatedly, leading people in the area to grow accustomed to it. Am I on the right track? Exactly. I mean, you wouldn't bother giving a name to something you only saw once after all. These people may have even come to have a kind of rapport with the mermaids. At the very least, it doesn't appear as though they were trying to capture any. Mermaids that people didn't want to capture? Then they weren't seeking its flesh. Perhaps there was a way obtaining immortality even without the meat? Maybe mermaid meat really was just tasty and nothing more. If that were the case, then it makes perfect sense that they would view the mermaid as a divine creature. So they treated it as an auspicious being that blessed others with long life. You may be onto something there. This makes me think of that theory you mentioned about how there might be two different kinds of mermaids. Oh, you remembered? I stand by my theory. There's the fish mermaid, which looks more like an aquatic monster or beastie, and the human mermaid, which resembles a demi-human or nymph. Indeed, that's the simplest way to describe it anyhow. Assuming the mermaid in question had a name, formed relationships with humans and granted longevity, it stands to reason it was of the human mermaid variety. You have a point. The mermaids we've encountered thus far have all been caught in nets and appeared to be more like fish mermaids. It seems more likely then that the mermaids who grant longevity are actually these human mermaids. Interesting. That in turn would suggest... My word, would this mean that one could become immortal without eating their flesh? I'm not sure. There are countless legends that reference the need to consume their flesh. But I can't help but feel like there's more to it. Well, I mean, if we go by, like, the palace story, even though that wasn't immortality, just, like, time dilation in a weird way, he was, what's his name was granted, like, basically long life, but then the box had, like, what, his life in it or something. And, like, granted by, like, human, like, mermaids, I would assume. If human mermaids are capable of communicating with us, I'd really like to speak to one. Agreed. Interesting sighting. Ah, speaking of which, this is entirely unrelated, but there's something I've been wondering. Do you mind? What? But our conversation was just getting good. Protest all you like, but I shall ask anyway. On our way here, I noticed a certain something adorning the entrances to everyone's houses. What was that? Oh right, those are Somin Shirai talismans. Somin Shirai? Okay, well, clearly I was wrong. Somin Shirai. Not a Shirai. Yes, although in most of Japan, they're usually only hung up around the New Year, but here in the Ise-Shima region, they're traditionally left up all year long. Interesting. I can add more detailed information to the files for later. Later's now. It's always now. Type of talisman inscribed with the characters Somin Shirai Shisan. meaning descendant of Somin Shirai. These talismans come in a variety of forms, ranging from smaller objects such as paper slips, wooden tags, or hexagonal wooden charms, to larger objects such as hoops made of entwined miscanthus beads, or a shiminawa, sacred ropes used for ritual purification. These talismans are generally placed at the doors of households as a prayer for sound health and to ward off illness. Many households in Ise-Shima place Somin Shirai talismans at the entrances to their homes, usually in the form of paper slips or shiminawa. Although most families in Japan only put shiminawa up during the New Year, in Ise-Shima they were kept up the whole year round, being replaced once a year on New Year's Eve. The words Somin Shirai originate from the name of the central figure in the legend of the same name. Although many versions of the tale exist throughout Japan, the tale is generally told in Ise-Shima is as follows. On New Year's Eve, the deity Gozu Tenno set out to court the princess of Ryugu. However, when night fell, he found that none of the nearby inns had a spare room to offer him, and so he turned to two brothers who lived by the sea for hospitality. The wealthy younger brother, Kotan Shirai, turned him away despite having the means to accommodate him. The elder brother, Somin Shirai, welcomed Gozu Tenno into his home, even though he lived in poverty. Pleased by the simple yet heartfelt reception he had received, Gozu Tenno rewarded this hospitality by sparing only Somin Shirai from a plague that ravaged the area the next year. What deity specifically is Gozu Tenno? Ever since it is said that hanging a wreath of miscanthus reeds and a charm declaring oneself to be a descendant of Somin Shirai from one's waist will offer protection from plague and illness, this tradition has survived to the present day, where such charms are now used as talismans for good health and well-being. I feel like the most important thing I got out of that was the fact that it brought up the Princess of Ryugu, or a Princess of Ryugu. I'm not going back. Let's keep going. Ah. What is it? What is it? Now you're making me antsy. She senses the mermaid. It's right there. Also, I don't know, like, again, a lot of these characters just kind of lean back sometimes. It's kind of funny. The mermaid has taken on quite a different appearance in modern folktales. I look at you now. Nope, same thing. Alright, what's wrong? Come now, Cersei. You realized something about those Somin Shirai, didn't you? You must share. No, nothing like that. It just made me think about how close this area is to the eternal world. Is it? What does that mean? You'd already known this from the files, but regarding the Somin Shirai, its origin goes back to a legend about the deity Gozu Tenno, who is courting the princess of Ryugu. Ryugu, you say? That's right, Ryugu is close to this place. In other words, that places it very close to the eternal world. Yes, and furthermore, Gozu Tenno was also the guardian deity of the Gion Shoja Temple. The very same Gion Shoja who gets mentioned in our good old friend, The Tale of Hike. So it is. What was it again? From the bells of the Gion Shoja echoes out the impermanence of all things, right? Sounds so cool that even I memorized it. Haven't got a clue what it means, though. Yes, that's the one. As for its meaning, you can look it up yourself. Fine, fine. So what you're saying is, Ise-Shima is a land with deep ties to both Ryugu and the Hike. And that is exactly why the Somin Shirai tradition is so well established here. Ah, that reminds me. Don't just say things and then, like, wait. That reminds me. I'm gonna just kind of stare off at this beach for a little bit. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. What was I saying again? Oh, right. There's something about Ryugu's princess that keeps bothering me as well. She certainly is mysterious, That reminds me, about Futamagara. We were here all night? Dear me, how time flies when listening to our lectures, your lectures, Circe. The sun has already gone down. I suppose I got carried away, sorry. They couldn't have had, like, a sunset moment? Like, it's straight up nighttime now. Well, if that results in such a lovely view of the sea at night, I'll not complain. You're right, just look at those stars. Ah. They're fucking beautiful. Oh, but we really let time get away from us. Look how dark it's gotten. Without the light from the stars above, we'd be lost in pitch darkness. Look at the starry sky. But look, the heavens are entirely enveloped in a shower of dazzling pinpricks of light. What a sight to behold. Would you happen to be versed in constellations, Circe? Well, I've dabbled a bit in astrology, so I guess I know a thing or two. Excellent, do tell. Oh, Circe. Dear me, I dragged her around all day long, didn't I? Or perhaps I should say I had her drag me around all day long. As her guardian for the time being, I suppose I ought to have had us retire earlier. Though Circe herself seems to have limitless reserves of energy. Okay, that was probably why it wasn't checked off before. Stars speckle the sky as far as the eye can see. Not bad at all. Tell me about constellations, they're probably important. Well, if we consider the constellations you can see in Japan during summer, the first one that comes to mind is the Summer Triangle. It's an easy one to find. Triangle, eh? Then I presume it is made up of 3 stars? Correct. Vega is in the constellation Lyra, Deneb in the constellation Cygnus, and Altair in the constellation of Aquila. Assassin's Creed mentioned? This trio of bright stars can be observed close to the Milky Way in this season. What? I want to see. How do we go about identifying them? Dog, it looks like there's a triangle right behind you. Well, first, low in the southwestern portion of the sky, look for a star that glows red, Antares of the Scorpio constellation. Southwest you say. From here, that would mean facing inland and looking to the right. Okay, try to find a red star low in the sky and point to it. Deneb, Vega, Altair, Hikoboshi. That name was brought up before in the story, wasn't it? In the Tales of Ise. Possibly the most famous of the summer constellations, the Summer Triangle is formed by connecting Vega in the constellation Lyra, Deneb in the constellation of Cygnus, and Altair in the constellation Aquila. Vega and Altair are also said to represent Orihime and Oh, that's it. Yeah, Orihime also was in there. It's Hikobushi. Okay, I'm stupid. The 2 central figures of the Tanabata legend. The romantic imagery of the star-crossed lovers separated by the Milky Way has captivated people's imaginations since time immemorial. How to find a Summer Triangle. Summer Triangle is visible in the sky almost directly overhead around August. Start by facing southwest and looking low in the sky to find Antares, bright red heart of the constellation Scorpius. From there, look straight up and you should spot Vega near the zenith. Sat down there. Well, I like how we can't point at any stars, but like, look, this is a triangle right here. There's a star there. Also, wait, I do believe I found it. The star just there with the reddish tint, that must be Antares, yes? Correct, that is indeed Antares, the brightest star in the Scorpio constellation. Not sure. Do I see Scorpio, or am I just crazy? Do I want to see Scorpio? Aha, I found it all by myself. Why, I'd make quite the celestial cartographer, if I do say so myself. Can you see Scorpio in... I don't know. I don't look at constellations too much. Where's Orion's belt? I see that sometimes. I hate to rain on your parade, but you were supposed to be looking for a star in the Summer Triangle, so please try again. Egad, that's right! Why not try looking straight up from Antares? I bet we'll find Vega at the sky's zenith. Give it a shot. What does zenith mean? Is that zenith? I guess, like, that would be zenith, because I can't look up any higher. There, that must be it. Bingo, that's Vega, one of the 3 stars in the Summer Triangle. In Japan, Vega is also called the Orihime Star and is famous for the connection to the Tanabata Star Festival. Then that must mean Hikaboshi will be on the opposite side of the Milky Way from that one. Exactly right. Can you figure out which one it is? One of the other stars in the Summer Triangle is in the same area, so see if you can find it. Man, imagine a world where you could just see the Milky Way in the night sky. Wouldn't that be something? What's with, like, the fog surrounding it? I think it would be this one. That's, like, on the other side of the Milky Way, right? Eureka, I've spotted it! Oh, that's Altair, one of the 3 stars of the Summer Triangle. Part of the Aquila constellation, Altair is also known in Japan as Hikaboshi for its role in the Tanabata Star Festival. Oh, that means I've managed to spot both Orihime and Hikaboshi. It's as if I've drawn the 2 star-crossed lovers together with my own hand. How overjoyed they must be. Yeah, nice work. I didn't expect you to be such a romantic. There's still another star in the Summer Triangle to find. It might be hard to see because of the angle. But you are. It certainly is a bit tricky to see something directly above you. Wait, what? What do you mean another one in the triangle? Did I do something wrong? Was I not paying attention to what was happening? It was right there. Summer Triangle. Was this one not it? Or I got that one? What star? I mean, I know there's a star. I mean, it's a triangle, right? Above me. I mean, there's another one. Is that in the triangle? My Ise is turning as I believe. That's the one. Oh, nice. Nice find. That's Denna, one of the 3 stars in the Summer Triangle. Denna lies within the Milky Way, which earns it the nickname Milky Way Star. Ah, it does indeed appear to be swimming nicely along the star. Wait, I'm sorry. The constellation confuses me now. What did I... Oh, Scorpio wasn't part of the triangle. I'm stupid. That's what she was saying, too. For some reason, I thought that we were looking for the Scorpio star because it was part of the triangle, but it just helps to locate it because Scorpio is nearby. So, yeah, okay. I'm just an idiot. My bad. It does indeed appear to be swimming nicely along the starry stream. There, I've located all 3 stars of the Summer Triangle. How do you like that? Good work. Now you've mastered the summer skies. Should I start addressing you as Professor? That's me. Feel free to rely on my knowledge. Alright then, tell me, what is another name for the star Hikaboshi? Not gonna look it up. I think that one was Altair. That's right. Well done, Professor. Phew. I mean, nothing to it. Regardless, we've seen all there is to see here in Futamagara. I'd never go so far as to call this a wrap. I'd even go so far as to call this a wrap. There has to be more to this place than what we've seen. Avi's just cranky because it's his nap time. I think that covers all the mermaid legends for Mie Prefecture, but is there anything else there... Is there anywhere else here you're keen to visit, Cersei? What? We haven't even visited Ise Shrine yet. If you ask me, we've barely scratched the surface. Ah, you've got a point there, but it's getting late, so let's save that for tomorrow, shall we? Alright. The next day. Ah, we're still visiting places! I thought the chapter would be over. This is all a recollection still. Mount Azami. Is this where the shrine is? Can't imagine mermaids being out here. Wow, talk about a gorgeous view. It is something, isn't it? This is Mount Asami's observation platform. It overlooks Toba City on one side and Ise City on the other. So that's Toba City over there, eh? What's Toba got going for it? Well, the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about Toba is Toba Castle, built in the Sengoku period by none other than the pirate daimyo Lord Kuki, who at one time led the Kuki naval fleet. Oh, that's more exciting than I anticipated. As for the Toba-shima area, it's famous for having the highest population of ama divers in Japan. Aha! I knew there'd be something touristy. What a fantastic blend of culture and history. Mount Asama. Mount Asama straddles the border between the Ise City and Toba City and is also known by the official name of Asama Gataki. Part of the Ise-Shima National Park, it was selected as one of the 100 landscapes of Japan, a listing of famous scenic sites gathered from across the country. Kongo Shoji, a temple located to the southern peak of Mount Asami, was built to protect Ise Shrine from the northeast. Traditionally regarded as a spiritually vulnerable direction, perhaps as a result, many worshippers who visit Ise Shrine also make the journey to Kongo Shoji. The observatory at the peak of the mountain offers a sweeping view of Toba City and the many islands that dot Ise Bay. You think we'd get more stickers around these parts? Like going on right back there. Apparently Mount Asami's peak sits at 555 meters above sea level, so it's not that high. But as it's situated at the tip of the Shima Peninsula, it offers a magnificent view of Toba Bay's coastline and the outlying islands. Since we stopped by the shrine this morning, I assumed we'd take the mountain path. All I can say is, this place takes my breath away. Beautiful music, too. So whimsical. What do you think about it, Cersei? She's been packed and ready to venture forth since the early hours of the morning. Though I myself beat her to the punch, having been too excited to sleep a wink all night. I've beaten this child at her own game. From what I hear, lots of the inns in Toba are run by ama divers and fishermen. Can't wait to dig into some seafood tonight. Talk about the Kuki Navy. First off, you should know that the naval troops in the Sengoku period were basically just pirates. Pirates, eh? Yes, they would put together crews of rowdy sailors, arm them to the teeth, and have them patrol a designated area of the sea. They only actually served under their commander as a naval force when there was a battle. So that's what the Navy was like back then, A ragtag bunch of pirates only called on to do their duty in times of need. Exactly. In fact, such forces only came to be called navies during the Edo period, and that was purely a matter of convenience. As for the Kuki Navy... Kukai? I'll be Kukai, right? It was one of the pirate bands patrolling the waters of Ise Bay. They're just a bunch of kooky pirates is all, you know? Haha. A man named Kukai Yushitaka was its commander, hence the name. He distinguished himself in the service of Oda Nobunaga in Toyotomi Hideyoshi, eventually rising to the position of daimyo of Shima province. That's why they called him the Pirate Daimyo. He started as a lowly pirate but rose all the way to the top of the chain of command. Did you say Oda Nobunaga? I've heard of. Him, I've heard of. I thought that was a not a him. Him, I've heard of. He was the demon king of the sixth heaven, no? True, but that's the title he gave himself. Still, a pirate and a daimyo. What an enchanting combination. He was the king of the pirates. He had the One Piece. That may be, but he wasn't blessed where allies were concerned. It seems he was always butting heads with his relatives. Oh? For one thing, he may have had his nephew Sumitaka assassinated in order to take over the Kukai clan. He also fought on the opposite side to his own son, Moritaka, in the decisive battle of Sekigahara. Sorry, a lot of these names I'm falling apart here. And in the end, spurred on by his vassals, he committed suicide on Ise-Shima, that island over there. So while Kukai became a daimyo of Shima province, his land was confiscated during his son's rule, and the clan fell into decline. Life truly is full of ups and downs. How the mighty do fall. He must have been quite a character. Tell me more about this character. That reminds me, there's another fascinating legend related to the Kukai clan. Oh, do tell. It's about Kukai Yoshitaka's nephew, Sumitaka. He had an extraordinarily beautiful daughter named Princess Hatsune. I dare say I know where this is going. Whenever a legend starts with a beautiful daughter, it inevitably I cannot talk. It inevitably ends with trouble. There you go, I got there eventually. You're not wrong there. Princess Hatsune was so beautiful that she saw no end of suitors, and her father sought to marry her off to achieve his political ends. But the princess already had a lover, so she fought against her father's plans, and even ran away several times, only to be brought home. I knew it, alas, that's what life was like for the daughters of powerful figures in those days. Well, Princess Hatsune lamented her fate. Must I be cursed with such misfortune merely for my beauty? And she didn't stop there. May no beautiful daughter be born to this land again. Such was the curse she left behind, before throwing herself down a well. And so ends the legend. Not what I'd call a happy ending. Also kind of just lame. She was just like, oh, I hate, life sucks, I'm gonna throw myself down a well and just make everyone's life miserable. The princess may have had good intentions. No, but I'm sure no one else felt she was doing them any favors. I guess good intentions and, like, not being cursed with beauty, so... I guess, if she's like, being beautiful sucks, so I don't want anyone else to be beautiful. I don't know, it just sounds weird. Good intentions? That isn't how I interpreted it. Well, what's your take on the story then? When authority figures try to force other people's hands, they bring these things upon themselves. It's just asking to get cursed. Fair enough, I see your point. Still, the princess did take it a bit far. To me, though, it almost feels like that part was tacked on later. Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go into, like, curse-bearing stuff, I could see that being the tacked on. Like, her death led to resentment that would have been some kind of weird curse that, like, affects... I mean, women, maybe? I would say beautiful women, but that's such a vague thing. Like, how would you go about that being a curse? Like, if it's women specifically, it could be the thing that's cutting people in the bad ending. As if someone thought it would make the story more impactful. And that word of it would travel further if the princess killed herself at the end. Oh, that part is what's tacked on? I guess that is also kind of tacked on. Because it is just, she says she's gonna curse people, and then she falls down a well. Oh, if you're right, that would change the story completely. But there is something else that interests me more. It still stands what I said about, like, the curse-bearing aspect being questionable. Sumitaka became head of the Kukai clan in 1560. But he was so young that Yoshitaka had to be appointed as his guardian. His exact age at the time isn't known, but the common belief is that he was about 8 years old. Nothing unusual there. Premature inheritances were a common occurrence in those days. But consider this, when Sumitaka died 24 years later, in 1584, he would have been 32 years old. Yes? Even if we suppose that Princess Hatsune was 15, their ages don't quite add up, do they? Age differences weren't so much a point of contention back then, but even so, that is a bit odd. Which begs the question, did Princess Hatsune really exist to begin with? And even if she did, was she really Sumitaka's daughter? Inagate Magatama was unearthed at the place where the princess was supposedly buried. Magatama, like the thing from Phoenix Wright, right? I think. That's the only knowledge I have of things. Other things. But that could easily have been planted there to lend credibility to the tale. Well, once you start doubting, it's hard not to see lies everywhere. True, and the pursuit of the unknown starts with belief, doesn't it? Well said! A certain occult researcher taught me that one. You don't say. Pirates who became feudal lords during the Sengoku period. Shima province was home to the number of local clans, among which is the Kukai clan, was one of the many pirate clans operating in Ise Bay. However, things changed when Kukai Yoshitaka correctly read the changing tides and allied himself first with Oda Nobunaga and then Toyotomi Hideyoshi, both powerful figures of the era, rising to prominence as commander of the Kukai Navy. He became the feudal lord of Shima province, founding Toba Castle at the base of operations. Kind of trying to skim a little bit because this is all just what we've already got from the talk we had, but just in case if there's new information, you know. While Yoshitaka was in the service of Nobunaga, the head of the Kukai clan was his nephew, Sumitaka, with Yoshitaka serving as his advisor. Despite his position, Sumitaka was little more than a puppet lord and died young, reportedly due to illness, just 2 years after the Hanoji incident. However, some theories suggest that he was actually poisoned by Yoshitaka as part of a scheme to seize control of the family. Kuki Sumitaka's daughter, Princess Hatsune, was said to have been a woman of great beauty. Sumitaka planned to marry her off as part of a political marriage. However, Princess Hatsune refused, saying that she had already promised her future to someone else. Upon learning that Princess Hatsune's beloved was a member of an enemy clan, Sumitaka was enraged and insisted that she marry the person he had chosen for her. See, we didn't get that enemy clan part, I'm pretty sure. We also don't really know a lot about who she was in love with, which might be important. Although Princess Hatsune made numerous attempts to escape in order to be with her lover, she was caught each time and forced to return home. Despairing of her fate, Princess Hatsune lamented her beauty, blaming it for her predicament, before throwing herself down a well in her sorrow. As she did so, she prayed with her last breath that no beautiful woman would ever be born in that land again, or so the legend goes. Despite the tale of persevering as part of local folklore, many questions about the accuracy of Princess Hatsune's legend remains, including Sumitaka's age at the time. Mostly it was just a recap, but it's important. Oh, I just realized something. Kukai Sumitaka died or was assassinated exactly 400 years ago. Is that significant? It is. A special spiritual significance is attached to periods of 400 years. For instance, the cycle of death and rebirth supposedly lasts 400 years, and some stories claim that a soul endures for 400 years. So is there anything to take from the idea of 800 years then? Is it like just that you skip one cycle of death and rebirth? Of course, 800... I just need to shut up and let the characters talk. Of course, 800 years immortals have twice that lifespan. But as you can see, 400 years is widely considered a good cutoff point. What do you mean, though? Because, like, you know, people don't live 400 years. So there's a chance something happened after 400 years. Happens after 400 years. Maybe. In any case, we should probably tread carefully here. It sounds to me as if we're in the right place at the right time. Ama divers. Why now? Why here? Ama divers have a long history in the Toba-Shima region. I guess because we're in the region. Evidence indicates that free divers have been fishing in the area since ancient times. You don't say. Most notably, it is said that Oben, who once presented an abalone to Yamatohima no Mikoto, was the very first Ama diver. In fact, there is a shrine dedicated to Oben in Kuzaki that is considered a sacred place to Ama divers of the Toba-Shima region. Is that so? She must have been truly legendary. Moreover, there are several poems in the famous 8th century poetry anthology Minioshu that depicts the Ama diving in Shima province. Ama divers also appear in dozens of ukiyo-e from the Edo period. Clearly they were a popular theme. It's quite incredible to think that their method of fishing has not only endured for so long, but has been recorded in such exquisite detail. There's another point worth noting. Ama divers have long been likened to mermaids for their skill and grace. You could even argue that the Ama diver culture that is so deeply rooted in this place is interwoven with the region's mermaid legends. Ah yes, there is a theory that the mermaids of Ise Bay were simply Ama divers. It does seem likely there's a connection between the two. I wouldn't be surprised if they were the originators of the legend. Perhaps, but I'd be beyond disappointed if that's all there is to it. Oh, right. Would you not be? By the way, there's another legend surrounding the Ama divers of the Toba-Shima region regarding something called the Tomokazuki. I'm surprised Azami and Yuza didn't like talk about that as far like I know I guess it's not technically mermaid related, but it's still like a myth of the ocean. But when they were like swapping info. But that also was from a different timeline before we discussed the Tomokazuki. And Yuza kind of didn't remember them very well, so I guess it makes sense that it wouldn't have been like on Azami's mind, perhaps. The Tomokazuki. It is believed that an Ama diver may encounter a copy of herself underwater, who will then offer her an abalone. If she accepts, the Tomokazuki doppelganger will drag her to the bottom of the ocean. Under the water, carry the water. Remove the water from the bottom of the ocean, never to be seen again. Ach! Circe, please don't spring scary stories on me out of nowhere. That's why the Ama divers of this area wear the Saiman and Domon symbols on them while they dive. It's a tradition that has continued right up to the present day. There must be some reason for it beyond pure superstition. Interesting. Tell me more. On another note, the Ama divers of the Toba-Shima region possess such exceptional diving skills that in addition to fishing, they also saved people from drowning and fetched objects that had sunk to the seafloor, right up until the Meiji era. Well, sounds as if they were true diving professionals. Exactly. In fact, after the Hike were defeated at Dan no Ura and were lost beneath the waves. Oh, we're back to the Hike already. I wasn't aware there was a connection. Everything's connected, dog. Didn't you play the first video game? I don't know why I specified video game. I just meant the first Paranormasight. Well, after that fateful battle, who do you think they sent to reclaim the legendary sword Kusanagi no Tsuragi from the seafloor? 2 Ama divers. Aha, so their lost and found services were being employed even back then, eh? And while they were diving, they came face to face with the vengeful spirits of the drowned Hike. Brr! Circe, please! You're gonna give me nightmares! At least that's what's depicted in the ukiyo-e entitled, "In the Western Sea, the diving women encountered the Hike in the depths of the water." Technically speaking, I think if we were to take into account when I went diving in the minigame and saw the face, it was coming from the western side. Like, we were obviously in the south waters, which makes me think it might be raging waves, but I think from the island, it would have been westward. So, I mean, I guess it could be both things, though. So, the face could be, like, the Hike, maybe? I don't know. In the Western Sea, the diving woman encounters the Hike in the depths of the water. I think Western Sea, it would have to be way more westward than where we were. Such a deep connection. To think the Hike were even once depicted with Ama divers. They truly are a symbol of the Ise-Shima region. Yes, but the setting for that ukiyo-e is Dan no Ura, which isn't anywhere near here. Still, it does go to show that Ama divers have held a deep connection to the sea for a very long time. Yeah, it's in their profession. They have to have a connection to the sea. They dive in the sea. It stands to reason that the firefighters have a strong connection with the fire truck. Yeah, it's expected. And when we're talking about the Tobashima region, Ama divers are always going to be key players. True, if you ask me, they should be brought up before the pirates. But pirates are cooler. Mind you, the Navy had a crucial role to play too. Right, well, as fascinating as all of this has been, Cersei, I'd say it's high time we return to our primary topic of interest here. Oh, and what would that be? Personally, now that we've visited Ise Shrine, I'm more or less satisfied. Tut tut. Cersei, you disappoint me. We didn't come here purely to chase legends, did we? Ah, and here I was hoping we could move on to buying souvenirs next. You know perfectly well that the true purpose of my voyage is nothing more or less than a treasure hunt. Right, so I guess he did talk about the map. Of course, I'm sure all this information we've been gathering will come in handy as well. Why is he looking at me directly? First things first, let's head back to the inn. From there, we can plan our next move. Okay, I was gonna say, that was a long chapter. Next, well, I want to figure out the map. I like how Cersei's sitting on, like, the other end of a table, just like Mio would. So, I'm trying to think of, like, the best way I would want to go back and forth on things. I feel like Yuza is going to keep kind of having a lot more stuff compared to other characters. Sato apparently ain't doing nothing right now, because he's too busy being an immortal nun. But, I don't know. I don't know which way I want to go. What I do want to do is, not that, check out the family tree. Whoa, man. Oh! I didn't realize that you could click on these to get lore. Oh, that's exciting stuff. I am going to wait until we've collected all of them to read the lore, but we will read all of the Mockingbird lore. Seems like a lot of people love this one. There's like some love there. In love. This one loves a lot of people. Like the protagonists of the show or whatever it is. I don't know. Anyways, we're not going to read that, but that's exciting stuff.